The wild card is active for game week 6, guys, and it's time to have a look at the team we're most likely going to choose for the game week 6 wild card. But before we go and do that, it's time to have a quick review of how we performed in game week 5. So as you guys can see, game week 5 was another stinky game week for me, as we got 60 points, which meant I got another red arrow down to 789k. I'm gonna be honest, it's not looking good. We had João Pedro in the squad for a 1-pointer. I'm not gonna lie, he's been an absolute flop and a waste of a transfer, if I'm being totally honest. I bought him in for game week 4 and 5 and he's flopped massively. Yeah, again, he will be gone on wildcard because I do believe he's actually injured as well for the next game week. So yeah, João Pedro flopped massively, didn't start against Nottingham Forest at home, came off the bench, and yeah, just didn't do anything really. And then Erling Haaland, man, 9 points against Arsenal, which is probably the hardest fixture he'll have in the Premier League season, and he still delivers. Man, this man is just absolutely amazing, and I'm so happy I went for Erling Haaland since game week 1, right? This man is just absolutely different gravy, and he's so good, so he'll definitely be on my wildcard team. But yeah, Erling Haaland doing the business against Arsenal was absolutely fantastic. Then we had Rodrigo Muniz with a 4-pointer. He actually got an assist in the last seconds of the game, and he actually was on my bench. He didn't start for me, but because Diogo Jota didn't get any minutes at all, I then had Rodrigo Muniz coming on off the bench, and yeah, he got me a very lucky assist in that game against Newcastle. And Diogo Jota and Mohamed Salah, my 2 Liverpool players, let me down massively. First things first, Jota didn't play at all, which is just really annoying because he's done just so poorly since game week 1 till now. He's done terribly bad in my opinion, especially when you compare him to the likes of Luis Diaz, who's been absolutely ripping it up, scoring goals after goals after goals. And Mohamed Salah, since I put him in my team for game week 4 and 5, he's flopped massively in my opinion. My expectations for Mohamed Salah was so high, and quite frankly, he's just failed to deliver. I took him out for Bukayo Saka thinking, you know, 2 great games against Forest and Bournemouth at home. Surely he's got to do the business. Surely he's got to get loads of goals and assists, and he's done the exact opposite of that, only getting just the 1 assist in those 2 games. And look, I captained him for game week 6, right? I captained him against Bournemouth at home, expecting, you know, maybe 2 goals, 1 assist, or 1 goal, 1 assist, and he just got me 1 assist, which is just terrible. So again, really disappointed with that, if I'm being totally honest. We then had Morgan Rogers, guys, with a huge 10-pointer, and I'm so happy I stuck with him because look, I was so close to taking him out, but then I had a gut feeling telling me to just keep Rogers because this is the game where he finally will deliver, and he did exactly that with 2 assists and all 3 bonus points as well, which is absolutely fantastic. But look, the same cannot be said for these 2 bums, Amad Diallo and Anthony Gordon. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't impressed with either of those players for game week 5. Wasn't impressed with their performance, wasn't impressed with what I saw on the eye test, especially with Amad Diallo, man. I feel like his goal threat and assist threat just wasn't really that high against Crystal Palace, and if I'm honest, I don't think I'm gonna be keeping him on wildcard. And Gordon, again, just been a massive flop for me, an absolute bum, an absolute fraud, and I cannot wait to get rid of this man on a wildcard, right? Newcastle have been shocking. I've watched a lot of their games live this season as well, and I keep saying it week after week after week. You know, they've been scraping by getting these wins, and quite frankly, they haven't looked good on the eye test. So I'll be definitely getting rid of Gordon. Not being impressed with Newcastle at all. Then Trent Alexander-Arnold, man, he done the business for me. A clean sheet and an assist, which is absolutely fantastic, man. Finally, we get that attack and return from Trent Alexander-Arnold. Robinson and Pedro Porro, both clean sheets wiped out. Pedro Porro had his clean sheet wiped out in like the first 23 seconds of the game, which is absolutely annoying. And then we had David Raya as well with a 4-pointer, which I'm really happy with, man. I mean, he was actually on 5 points until like the last 10 seconds of the game when Arsenal conceded to John Stones. So yeah, Raya, just honestly, he's been so good for me. But yeah, to get 4 points in a game against Manchester City is absolutely ridiculous. And look, I know that's probably because Arsenal went down to 10 men, but still, I mean, just to get 4 points in a tough game like that when Erling Haaland scored as well is absolutely fantastic. So I'm happy with Raya's points. And look, overall, like I said, it was a stinky week, but we cannot dwell on the past. We have to look forward now. We have to look towards game week 6 and my wildcard. So let's do exactly that and have a look at my final, well, not my final, but you know, my game week 6 wildcard team. Alright guys, so it's time to have a look at my game week 6 wildcard team. And with that being said, guys, this isn't finalized and I could possibly make a few changes to this team, but overall the core would most likely stay the same, right? But with that being said, let's just get straight into it. In goal, we've got David Raya, and for the back three, we've got Konate, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Rico Lewis. And on the bench, we've got Mikalenko and Greaves. So the only change I've made from my first original draft to this one is I've actually upgraded Van den Berg and used the extra extra money in the bank to get Mykolenko for 4.3 million. But guys, look, I've gone for David Raya. There is a possibility that he might not play for game week 6, but I do honestly think he'll play, which is why I've gone for him. Of course, if we get confirmation from Arteta that he will miss the next game, then I will possibly go to someone like Saliba or Gabriel. But for now, we've got David Raya, and I like him. I love him as a long-term set and forget option. As you guys know, I've had him since game week 1, and I will continue to own this man throughout the rest of the FPL season because I think he's that good. He seems to be making a lot more saves as well. He seems to be getting a lot more bonus points, and I just love Raya as a long-term set and forget option. So that's why I've gone for him. I've gone for double Liverpool defense. Now, some of you may be against this, but actually this season, Liverpool defense has been really, really good. And in terms of, you know, the stats, in terms of expected goals conceded, they've actually been the second best defensive team, only after Manchester City. So I do like that a lot. I really, really do like that. And look, for me, I essentially see Trent Alexander-Arnold as a as a midfielder that can get you clean sheet points. That's the way I view Trent Alexander-Arnold, because he's that good going forward. So essentially, you know, I've got someone that's so attacking that can also get you defensive clean sheet points. And then I've got Konate. Of course, he doesn't have the attacking threat. Yes, he's good from set pieces, but overall, you know, he's not got, you know, a high amount of attacking threat. But like I said, the Liverpool defense so far this season has been really, really good. And also on the eye test, which I love, you guys already know that, I can see that Liverpool are controlling games a lot more and conceding less big chances than they were, for example, you know, compared to like last season, you know. So that's why I do like the double Liverpool defense. Yeah, I've gone for Konate, I've gone for Trent, and I've also gone for Rico Lewis as well. Look, as you guys can see, this back line, this whole defensive unit does consist of the best 3 defensive teams in the league, right? If I was to ask you right now, who are the best 3 defensive teams in the Premier League, or by the end of the season, who will put up the best defensive numbers in the Premier League, I guarantee you the answer would be Arsenal, Liverpool and Manchester City, which is why my defense is only full of players from those teams, right? Raya, Konate, Alexander-Arnold and Lewis. So that's why I like it, man. I've just tried to simplify things a lot more, right? And that's just the way I see it. That's why I've gone for this back line, because I think they're from the players are from the best defensive teams in the league. And look, Rico Lewis is a risk. I 100% know that. I know Rico Lewis can be at risk of being benched and rotated in certain games, but I do think Rico Lewis will play the games that you would want him to. And what I mean by that is the easy home games. For example, like, I'm going to show you guys my screen right now, right? So Rico Lewis, right? Let's have a look at Man City's next fixtures, right? So Newcastle away, I'm not going to lie, he could get benched in that game, but because it's an early kickoff, we'll get early team news. However, the games, the easy games like Fulham at home, Wolves away, Southampton at home, those 3 games, I expect him to play. Maybe not Brighton away, even Bournemouth away, I expect him to play. So I think the games that you'd actually want a City defender in, like Fulham at home, Southampton at home especially, he will play in those games, and I'm just willing to take that risk on Rico Lewis, man. He's got such good potential for clean sheet points, for attacking points, sorry, because he essentially, when he plays, he's playing as like a number 8/number 10 in possession. So for that reason, I think he's worth the risk. And I've also got Mykolenko on the bench who can cover if Rico Lewis doesn't get any minutes and gets benched, right? So look, for me, I like this defense a lot, and I'm pretty set. Like, no matter what I do, I think Rico Lewis is a lock in the wildcard. Trent Alexander-Arnold is a lock on the wildcard. Raya is a lock on the wildcard. There's a possibility I might change Konate, but I really doubt it. But certainly Lewis, Trent and Raya are absolute locks on my wildcard. But look, that's enough for the defense. Let's move on to the midfield. So in midfield, we've got Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden, Brian Mbeumo and Anton Semenyo. And on the bench, we've got Dibbling. As you guys can see, it's the same midfield that I had in the last wildcard draft I showed you guys. And look, I'm going to be honest, I love this midfield. And look, first thing I want to say is, right, the key here is Phil Foden. Phil Foden, look, I'm expecting us to get early team news for that Manchester City game. And if we get early team news and if we find out that Foden is benched in that game, I will 100% take him out for most likely like a Luis Diaz. However, if Phil Foden is leaked and if the Man City lineups are leaked and Phil Foden starts, it stays as it is, right? Because I love Phil Foden as an option. I want to talk about him because I think he's being slept on because he hasn't really got a lot of minutes so far in the Premier League season, but he's a massive differential. At the time of recording, he's only like 5.4% owned, which is crazy for a player with his ability. We saw what last season Phil Foden, right? We saw what he did last season, Phil Foden, right? We know how good of a player he is. We know he can score goals, get assists, and look, Kevin De Bruyne's injured, Rodri's injured. Pep's going to need a player of Phil Foden's quality to step up the way he did last season, and I think he's going to go to Phil Foden. I think Phil Foden is going to start games from this point onwards, and boy, if he starts, he can be a great differential. And essentially, I just want to get ahead of the curve, right? Everyone's going for plays like Luis Diaz in midfield. Of course, I don't have Diaz. I'd love to have Diaz, but essentially, I'd rather go for Phil Foden. If he starts, I'm going for Phil Foden. I'm taking that risk because look, for me, it's a fun pick. I like taking a bit of risk, and I want to gain on everyone else. To have someone of Phil Foden's quality so low owned, I just think it's a great pick given the fact that Man City have such great fixtures. So that's why I'm going for Phil Foden. I know it's a risk, but look, what is life without a bit of risk, man? I'm willing to take that risk on Phil Foden. So yeah, if he starts, 100% he's in my team. So yeah, I just want to clear that up with you guys. If he's benched, of course, I would then go to Luis Diaz, and I will most likely just save the money in the bank. Honestly, I think I'd just save the money in the bank. I wouldn't swap Rico Lewis for Gavardia. I wouldn't do it because I just think, look, if Rico Lewis starts, Gavardia is a worse option, right? When Rico Lewis starts, Gavardia is a bit more defensive. So I will just downgrade Foden to Diaz if Foden's benched and keep the money in the bank for the future. But yeah, we've also got Bukayo Saka in there. Of course, for me, it's non-negotiable. Saka has to be in the team, right? The fixtures are absolutely incredible for Arsenal. You know, they play Leicester, they play who else do they play? I completely forgot. They play Leicester at home. They play Southampton as well, and they play Bournemouth in the next 3 games, right? 3 fantastic fixtures for Bukayo Saka. 90 minutes on penalties. We know what he can do, right? So that's why I'm going for Bukayo Saka. For me, he's non-negotiable, and the same can be said for Bryan Mbeumo as well. Non-negotiable on the wildcard, an absolute lock. I mean, if you're wildcarding this week, you'd be pretty damn insane to go without Bryan Mbeumo on a wildcard, man. For the price that he is, the fact that he gives you 90 minutes week in, week out on penalties, a Premier League proven goal scorer as well, for me, it's non-negotiable. Bryan Mbeumo is an absolute must on wildcard, and I will be going for this man no matter what, alright? So, yeah, that's why I've gone for him. And look, I'm going to speak on Semenyo as well real quick. Semenyo is a short-term punt. As you guys can see, I've actually got 2 free transfers. So, I'm going into this wildcard with 2 free transfers. And for me, I think that's enough enough of a reason for me to take that risk on Semenyo, because I like the next 2 games, right? Southampton and Leicester for the next 2 games are some really good fixtures, and Semenyo's had a pretty good fiery start to the season, getting some goals and assists. So yeah, I do like him. He's a massive threat, and probably Bournemouth's best attacking outlet as well. So I really do like him as a short-term punt on wildcard, if I'm being totally honest. Of course, look, I am missing a few plays, and some people may criticize me for not going for like Mohamed Salah, for not going for Luis Diaz, because I'm missing a Liverpool attacker, and I totally get it. I'm scared. I'm going to be honest. I'm scared going without a Liverpool attacker. At the time of recording, they've just smashed, yesterday they smashed West Ham 5-1. Diogo Jota scored twice. I mean, look, of course, Diogo Jota scores in the cup and not in the league when I need him to. But look, Liverpool are scoring goals, and they look like a really good team going forward. As much as they are good defensively, they are certainly good going forward. And look, I'm just going to unfortunately have to miss out on the Liverpool attack. I cannot have everyone. Some people will say go to Luis Diaz, and I totally get that, but for me, I'm playing my own game. I know a lot of people are going for Diaz, and I understand it, but for me, I want Phil Foden in the team, man. A massive differential, and if it works, it could just be amazing, right? So that's why I've got no Liverpool. As I said, I'd love to have Mohamed Salah, I'd love to have Luis Diaz, but I cannot fit everyone in the team. So with that being said, that is the midfield. I am happy with it, and I just got to pray and hope that Phil Foden does start. And I'm going to say it one more time: if Foden is benched, I'm downgrading Foden to Luis Diaz, alright? But yeah, that is the midfield. Let's move on to the attack. So for the front 3, we've got Kai Havertz, Erling Haaland, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Of course, it's the same front 3 as the first initial draft I showed you guys, and it's a front 3 for me that I'm sticking with no matter what. If I'm honest, I love Kai Havertz as an option. A lot of people are going for double Arsenal defense, but I prefer the double Arsenal attack. I'm chasing the high upside. I'm chasing the high amount of points, because look, I genuinely believe Arsenal will score a lot of goals in the next 3 games. They do well against, the bottom tier sides, the relegation sides, like Leicester, like your Southamptons. We saw it last season, right? They battered Sheffield twice as well, like absolutely crazy. So look, I expect Arsenal to score a lot of goals, and for that reason, I'm going for Havertz instead of a double Arsenal defense, right? Again, I'm playing my own game. I've seen a lot of drafts of people going for double Arsenal defense, and I totally understand it. It's a good choice. It's a safe choice. But again, I just prefer Havertz. I'm going to be honest, I prefer Havertz playing in that number 9 role against easy opposition. I can see him getting a lot of goals and a lot of FPL points. So that's why I'm going for him. And then, of course, and also another reason that I love Havertz as an option, because it's an easy route to getting Dominic Solanke in my team, right? It's like I can go straight from Havertz to Solanke easy without any issues. So that's why I do like Kai Havertz as an option as well, because I do plan on bringing Dominic Solanke in probably around game week 8 or 9. So yeah, that's why I also do like Havertz. And of course, you got Erling Haaland. Had him since game week 1. He's obviously going to be in my team. Not much really needs to be said on Erling Haaland, right? He's just an absolute beast of a player, a bona fide world-class elite striker. For me, if you're wildcarding, you must have Erling Haaland. It's just that simple. So yeah, Erling Haaland with a great set of fixtures. I'm tripled up on Man City. I'm tripled up on Arsenal. I'm doubled up on Liverpool. I think the core of this team is good. I really like it. Look, some people may say the bench is weak and this and that and all the other stuff. Look, I totally get it. But for me, I look at this team, and if Phil Foden starts, you know, Kanate starts, Trent starts, Lewis starts, it has some really good potential. I really do think it has potential. So again, it's risky, but like I said, I'm willing to take that risk. And of course, you've got Calvert-Lewin as well. I like him. Of course, when I was a key point that I pointed out when I was talking in my transfer tips video, or you know, best players to buy video, is Dominic Calvert-Lewin's next fixtures are absolutely incredible from an attacking point of view, and I want to show you guys exactly why. Because he's actually playing against the worst defensive teams currently in the next like 7 games he's got, right? So if you look at expected goals conceded, right, if we look at expected goals conceded, as you guys can see here, take note of these teams that you're seeing, right? Ipswich, Brentford, West Ham, Southampton, obviously Everton, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin cannot play against the team he plays for, right? So forget Everton. Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Leicester, and Bournemouth, right? These are like the worst teams in the Premier League. Now let's have a look at Dominic Calvert-Lewin, right? Let's have a look at Dominic Calvert-Lewin's next fixtures, right? Let's have a look, because this is really interesting. Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Ipswich, Fulham, Southampton, West Ham, Brentford, and then even, you know, United and Wolves. But as you guys can see, up until Brentford, right, Palace, Newcastle, Ipswich, Fulham are pretty decent defense, but Southampton, West Ham and Brentford, these are the exact same teams that are here for the worst defensive teams in the league so far this season in terms of expected goals conceded, right? Look, Ipswich, Brentford, West Ham, Southampton, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, these are the teams that Calvert-Lewin is playing, right, for the next sort of 6 to 7 games. So for me, when I saw that, I was like, yes, 100%, I've got to have Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because essentially he's playing against the worst defensive teams in the league. So look, that's why I'm going for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I like him as a long-term set and forget option, playing against some weak, terrible defensive sides in the Premier League. So that's why I do like Dominic Calvert-Lewin as an option. But that is the team, guys, right? That is the team, and I'm really, really happy with the team. I'm going to be totally honest. I'm most likely going to keep it as it is, right? As I said, I hope to get some leaked lineups and some leaked information on the Man City team, because as I said, I will make changes if Phil Foden is benched, because if he's benched, I'd rather have Luis Diaz playing against Wolves. I'm not going to lie. But if he starts, I'll keep it as it is. In terms of Rico Lewis, if Rico Lewis does get benched, I'm not going to take him out. I'm still going to keep him, if I'm totally honest. I'll just play Mikalenko instead. I'm totally happy to keep Rico Lewis. Honestly, I just see such high potential there, which is why I do like him. But quickly, I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do if Foden gets benched, because it's not just Foden I'll take out, right? There's a couple other changes I would make with the extra money as well. I've actually decided. So yeah, let's go and have a quick look on what I would do if Phil Foden gets benched. Alright guys, so of course this is the wildcard team for game week 6. However, if Phil Foden is benched, then I have the choice to sort of spread the funds elsewhere. I might not do it, but this is what I could do, right? So I could go from Phil Foden to Luis Diaz, and then I could upgrade Dibbling and just keep back to Rodgers essentially. So I'm keeping Rodgers, and I'd probably just do that. And then in terms of starting 11, I'd probably bench Calvert-Lewin, because honestly Ipswich defense isn't good in my opinion, so I probably want to start Rodgers this week, and I would probably bench Calvert-Lewin and do something like that. So again, the core of the team stays the same, only just like 2 changes is what I would do if Phil Foden is benched at most. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the team. I like it a lot if I'm being totally honest. So yeah, man, don't be surprised if you see this for game week 6. But guys, that is going to be it for the team selection video. Let me know down below in the comments what you think of my wildcard team. I want to hear your thoughts, I want to hear your feelings, and if you are wildcarding in game week 6 as well, comment down below your team and let me know what you're planning to do for game week 6 wildcard. But with that being said, I hope you did enjoy the video. Make sure to smash a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and guys, I will catch you in the next one. But until then, I'm out. Peace.